In the beginning, there was silence. Not the gentle hush of night or the stillness before prayer, but a silence so vast, so ancient, it seemed to stretch beyond time itself. This was the silence of the afterlife before memory, and in that silence stood Anubis, cloaked in eternal black, with the head of a jackal and eyes that shimmered like obsidian mirrors. He waited, not for praise nor sacrifice. He waited to be needed. For Anubis was not a god of war or sky. He was the god of endings, the god of care, the god who met you at the threshold when everything else had been stripped away. To mortals, Anubis was the embalmer, the guardian of tombs, the guide of souls. But that title, guide, does not capture the truth. This tale, buried in forgotten papyrus and whispered only in the crypts of ancient priests, reveals something else. Something the world was never meant to know. Because Anubis didn't just guide the dead, he took something from them. A sliver, a fragment, a thread of soul. With every ritual, with every binding of linen and utterance of sacred words, Anubis kept a peace. They say it began with Osiris. When the god of the dead was torn apart by betrayal, Anubis was the one who gently gathered his limbs, washed his wounds, and wrapped him in sacred cloth. No other god had dared. And in that moment of divine tenderness, Anubis discovered something chilling. In the act of preservation, he had absorbed something. Not flesh, not blood, but memory. He felt Osiris inside him. Pain, love, regret, a faint echo ... and it never left. Centuries passed. Kings died. Queens followed. Children, warriors, thieves, all found themselves upon Anubis's table. And he, loyal and still, performed his sacred rites. But after each ceremony, he would take something. Just a small part. A breath. A heartbeat. A moment frozen in time. No one noticed. After all, who would question the god who bridged the worlds of life and death? He moved in shadows, his hands always precise, his silence impenetrable. But the pieces began to weigh on him. Not physically. A god does not bend beneath burden. No, this was deeper. His being grew crowded with whispers. Thousands of voices. Laughter and longing. Screams and songs. Each soul clung to him like smoke. And he, once the still point between worlds, began to drift. He told himself he was honoring them, remembering them, giving them eternity in the only way he could. But in truth, he was afraid. Afraid that if he let them go, they would be lost forever. One day, a girl died. She had no riches, no tomb, no family. Her body was wrapped in a threadbare cloth, her hands clutching a wilted flower. There were no hymns sung, no priest to speak her name, only the wind, and the question she whispered with her final breath. Why? When Anubis came for her, as he did for all, she looked up at him without fear. She did not kneel. She did not weep. She simply asked again, "Why do you take from us?" The god stood frozen. Millennia of ritual had never prepared him for this. No soul had dared question him. He could have ignored her, silenced her. But something in her voice, so raw, so true, pierced through the storm of memories he carried. For the first time in his existence, Anubis had no answer. He was not angry. He was empty. The girl reached out and touched his chest, where countless soul threads pulsed beneath his skin. And inside him, they stirred, not in pain, not in anger, but in song. A quiet harmony of lives once lived, now humming together inside a single god. There was joy in that chorus, grief too, but above all, yearning, not to be kept, not to be remembered, but to be released. Anubis wept. No tears fell. His eyes were carved from divine stone, but he wept. He saw clearly, perhaps for the first time. He hadn't taken from the dead to preserve them. He'd taken because he feared being alone. He feared forgetting. He feared that once a soul crossed into the unknown, it would vanish completely. And so he clung to every fragment, every echo, every name. But the girl had shown him something different, a truth far braver than fear, that the greatest gift isn't memory, it's release. And so Anubis, sacred, solemn, silent, opened his chest and let them go. One by one, the souls floated from him like golden dust on desert wind. The queen who missed her child, the warrior who died for nothing, the beggar who dreamed of stars. Each found peace, each finally free. Now, they say, Anubis walks lighter, his steps softer, his eyes quieter. He still embalms, he still guides, but he no longer keeps, he no longer takes. He mourns, and in mourning, he honors them far more than he ever did by holding on. For a god, it was a hard lesson. For mortals, it may be the most important one of all. Because sometimes, to love deeply means to let go completely.